girls. They are across 6 states. We also have another program called Bharati Quality Support Program, where we deal with government schools. So we do whole school development for over 804 schools in 14 states. And here we have a BOT principle, build, operate, transfer. We work with each school for 5 years. We help assist the school in developing leaders, in developing the teachers, and of course, providing them all sorts of supports in that regard. This is how pictures look like. We get to see these pictures very often. Children walking on wooden bridges to come to school. You can see a smiling teacher with a gungat. With great difficulty, she lifted it up. And of course, our school, which is all green and clean and neat, which is, we have 183 of them. 5 of them are senior secondary, which is up to class 12th. Yes, you get to see this too. We have a robotic lab. We introduced in one school last year. We are going to have more and more coming up. So our children are equipped not only with books, they are also having the opportunity to explore robots and look at the eager and exciting faces out there. All right, so what's special about Bharati Foundation? You know, it's nearly 10 months since I've been with Bharati Foundation, and what I found most interesting from a quality perspective is we have processes documented for every single thing. We start by first documenting the process and then only implementing things. We have school operating manual, which is followed by the book. We have department dashboards and scorecard to keep a tab on numbers, on data, and of course, performance. We've initiated technology and automation much before. Now it's a mandate with COVID and the lockdown, etc. It's literally impossible not to do with technology. Of course, we do internal audits, analysis, how to better ourselves, and of course, the external assessments too. So that's about Bharati Foundation, and over to the session. And you can see the slide 2020. You can see, a spaceship trying to reach Saturn, and of course the spaceship is figuring its way out. I would request Jatin to run a poll, because when we have a session which is going to set expectation, we might rather set expectations right in the beginning. So let's have a quick round of poll for the people out here. Okay, so first question, how well do we understand SWOT analysis? And the answers to it, probable answers to it, I understand it well and have used it many times. Understand it but never used it, have not understood the concept at all. So we have around 30 seconds for people to poll, and would love to hear honest answers from people, so that it's a platform. We're not going to ask you questions, why did you not learn it in school or college days? And it's good to see some answers popping up. Yes, we can have more. All right, we have around 25 of them, and 26. We can have a few more because we have more participants than the number of responses. All right, another 5 seconds, and Jatin, we can show the poll results. All right, thank you. So there it goes. It says that I understand it well and have used it many times. 77%, and there are around 23% who says understand it but never used it. All right. And may I ask Jatin to launch the second poll? Control impact matrix. Have heard of this and used it many times. Have heard of it but never used it, and yet to hear about it. All right, 50% of people have voted now. We have another 20 seconds to go. You don't have to go to Google and search for the answer. If you do not know, it's perfectly fine. There is no award for the best answer. All right, 26 people have voted, and let's see the result. 15% says that they have heard of this and used it many a times. 58% say they've heard of it but never used it. And of course, 27% says yet to use it. All right, thank you so much. And I wanted to tell you that most of the tools, I call it tool because these are enablers. These help you to decipher the item which you want to do or the action you want to take. Most of the tools are kind of created and taught in a very complex manner. And today's session is about how we can simplify it, and more importantly, how we can demystify it, because demystifying is more important than simplification in my view. Because how do we have these tools, we have knowledge of it, especially the SWOT analysis. Many of us have used it, but how many of us do use it regularly? And of course, in case you want to use it, where can you use it? What is it used for? And so hence we move forward. Jitin, you can close the poll. Or
Is it still showing? Because I've closed it.
all right, it's gone off my screen now.
Okay. Yeah, it's not coming up now.
All right. Okay, so I'm going ahead. There is a shift in behavior and expectations, and especially in this year, as I mentioned, in 2020, we have seen questions like all of us asking ourselves, who are we? What do our stakeholders need from us? Because this is a constant question, because there's this never ending need from the stakeholder that if you do X, you need X plus. If you do Y, you need Y minus. How do we constantly learn from our experience? So we have knowledge management, we have knowledge base, and do we learn from them? Things like lockdown was unheard of it was never parked in a knowledge management system. So how do we learn from our current experience as well as our past experience? Also, how do we manage daily operations? Specifically, how do I manage daily operations? And of course, it takes time. So the question which we need to ask ourselves, should transformation takes time? This lockdown has taught us that transformation does not take time. Sometimes it happens just overnight. Do we have the time? Should we transform at all? Shall we just close our eyes and just perform business as usual? Or should we revise our strategy? So this is a question which keeps all of us, most of us awake day and night. I would not say all of us, because specifically when it comes to business strategy, etc., a lot of people keep, thinking about what should we do, or should we just wait and watch? And of course, strategy, it's a huge word. I would say in this huge world, this is a word which is very commonly used, and of course, it's important too. And when a survey was done by PMI, 61% of the respondents acknowledged that the firms struggle to bridge the gap between strategy formulation and day-to-day implementation. So there is this gap, and the couple of reasons why strategy does not succeed. The integration between strategy and implementation, there seems to be a gap there. Also, focus on implementation. I would rather say focus on dousing fire, day-to-day operations issues. Focus on the correct areas. How do you prioritize initiatives, and how do you allocate resources to these initiatives which are prioritized? And of course, how do you develop skill sets? So if automation, if robotic automation is the new game, how do you develop skill sets? Do you hire? Do you develop internal people? All these keep on keeps asking us why us, and keeps telling us rather that why this strategy did not succeed. Of course, site number A will give you details. You can go to Google and find out. There'll be a lot of sites sending you to different directions. But end of the day, we might land up looking like this. So what do we do? There is around 101.5 billion websites which can give you answers. There are 1.5 billion websites available. 200 million of them active. Throwing you some numbers because these numbers are important to know that there's so many, and 380 are created every minute. So which website is the right website? Which one can you follow? Sometimes you get answers from various experts also, but what do you follow? So to demystify strategy is this huge word, to demystify strategy, or rather not just to demystify, the commonly used tool when it comes to talking about strategy is SWOT. SWOT analysis: strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. In my view, it's a very simple tool. And why it is simple, we will explore it going forward. So there are 4 parts of it as spoken. Each of those parts fit into a box, which is like this. And then it's very easy and simple to draw. Just draw a box and fit strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threat to it. Now, how do you look at it from a particular perspective? The inside view is a strength and the weakness. The inside view, which is favorable, is a strength. The inside view, which is unfavorable, is a weakness. The outside view, which is favorable, is an opportunity, and the outside view, which is unfavorable, is a threat. So the first 2 is the inside view, the last 2 are the outside view. Now let's look at the concepts. What does fit into a strength? So what do you do well as an organization, as an individual? What do you do well? What do others see as strength in you? You can also check with your colleagues, your competitors, that you can find out what news articles publish about you. What is also unique about you can be a strength. Weakness are those aspects that are concerning you, keeping you awake at night, and also making you think, what can you do better? What do others see as your weakness? Coming to opportunities, what are those aspects you're yet to tap, you're yet to explore? And what are those few trends which are favorable at the moment for you? And if there is a strength, can you convert that into an opportunity? There are some threats too. What could harm you in the long run, in the short run? And of course, if your competitor is doing something different, is that move detrimental to you? Could some technology, some new company, some new initiative disrupt you? Or the last one, is there a weakness which is exposed? So these are a few concepts, and we will move on to look at an example of a beverage company. This is picked up from the internet, so it's not confidential. It's of a brand which you all must be knowing. The strength of it, I picked it up as is from Google, so there's no manipulation of information out here. It's a best brand worth dollars X billion. It has the largest market share. It has a strong marketing, and of course, it's extensively a beverage company, and the customer loyalty is unquestionable. Couple of weakness: focus only on carbonated drinks. They have many brands which has low revenue and a few brands with high revenue. Undiversified product portfolio. Couple of negative publicity, and of course, cost of acquisition is extremely high. Of course, they do have opportunities also. Consumption of bottled water is an opportunity. Demand for health beverage is a huge opportunity. People are becoming more health conscious. There are a lot of markets which are emerging. And of course, you can grow acquiring local brands. Threats: changing consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is changing over times. Water scarcity. Beverages require water in large chunks. Legal requirement changing, political behavior is changing, so governments will change and bills will change, and so hence legal requirements also change to sometimes are pro beverages, sometimes are not pro beverages. Saturated markets in cities, sometimes the consumption pattern, once it has reached a certain level, does not increase. And of course, competition by and large. So this is one on beverage company. Moving on to an education sector, somehow we all can relate to both this beverages as well as the education sector. Either we have children studying in schools or we ourselves have gone to school. So it's something which we all can relate to. Couple of strengths: it's recession proof, it's a lucrative industry, international demand. So this education sector is not limited to just schools, it's across schools, colleges, universities, etc. It's supported schools in rural area, schools across India, Africa, countries like that are supported by UNICEF, WHO, governments, and NGOs. And of course, there's a creation of large resources because you need huge infrastructure, you need people to run it, you need, uh, you need resources, you need, content. So you have large resources also there. As per World Bank, around 3.6 million teachers work full time in this industry. Some weakness, it's capital intensive infrastructure required, which is highly capital intensive. Heavy dependent on funding because the break even takes some time. The sync between market orientation and curriculum is lacking. Less collaboration within organization with all the organization, and of course, uh, education sometimes focus only on reading and writing and passing. Today, CBSE results are declared, so all are interested how much mark you got and not on the life skills. So lack of focus on the life skills too. Some opportunities, education reforms happen time and again. Huge revenues are there, and FDIs are also part of. I mean, FDI is available in education industry too. Demand for diverse courses over the last few years, we've seen, courses. There is various courses available across universities, across even schools. Even CBSE is exploring various courses going forward for class 11th and 12th. Education going virtual, so there were a lot of classes like Byju's and similar organizations which went virtual long time back, before of course the lockdown, and of course competition leading to improvement in efficiency as well as quality. Some threats, private institutions giving a little bad name to the industry. Huge variation fee. A child can go to a school with class 1 going for free education, have be paying 50 rupees, paying 500 rupees, or be paying 5,000 rupees and even more. There are a lot of courses which are irrelevant, so the universities market these courses, and ultimately the students go for it and find out that they are not they have not got the right education, or they are not able to get the right jobs. Donation driven courses, some courses charge huge donations, and of course limited number of seats, especially in India in colleges, and focus on profit making. While profit making is not bad, it should be balanced between profit making as well as quality education. So it's time for some quick pep talk and getting some information from the audience here. So we have around 35 odd audience. I would like to hear from them. This slide was, I didn't include anything related to the current scenario. So if I could hear from the audience, what could be a few strengths in the current scenario in education? You could use the chat box and we could hear from you. Anybody would like to start? A few strengths in the current scenario. Going digital, virtual education. Awesome, that's right. Very true. Anybody else would like to add? There's no right and wrong. Technology has helped in the current situation. Yes, very true. Can I have some more answers, please? Changing with the times. Yes, indeed. Improvised, indeed. Dedication of teachers, excellent. That's good. All right, I will just pop in a few, which is picked up from the UK. Being IT literate, yes, British. Travel time reduced, yes. In terms of strengths, I would say development of new online resources. Yes, multiple courses, Pavitra. Upskilling in resources. Suddenly teachers have to get themselves upskilled, because in case you need to run a Zoom or a Microsoft or a WhatsApp video too, opportunity to learn new skill. Rajinder, thank you so much. Investment in technology, which is of course, commute time will be used for education. Thank you, Colonel. Maximum resource utilization. All right, that's great. So these are the few things I put up on in use of ICT. Yes, uh, resource upskilling, investment in technology, and development of new online resources. Yes, ed tech. Yes, you're right. All right, we'll move on to an interactive session on weakness. So, what do you think in the current scenario are weaknesses? Are there weaknesses? Yes, there are. What could they be? Can I have some answers on the chat? Less resources to achieve United Nations agenda. Yes. Away from real-time learning. Yeah, indeed. Lack of resources, poor health. Wow, Pavitra, thank you. One-on-one interaction lacking. Yes, Colonel. All right, here I go. Time constraint is one thing. All the teachers invariably tell that there is rural masses limited access to tech. Yes, indeed. Kids need company and they're missing it. Yes, socializing indirectly, playing, running around. Lack of practicals. And most importantly, what is concerning people like us in the education industry is issue with assessment. How do we assess children online? So these are few of the weakness. And acceptance, clipping the wings, especially of kids. Teachers do not know how to use technology. All right, so what could be a few opportunities? Again, over to the group for quick answers or quick opinions, I would say, on the chat box. What could be a few opportunities? We talked about education reforms, FDIs, education going virtual. What could be a few of the opportunity which you could find in the current scenario? There is opportunity. What could them be? Anybody would like to try? Upskilling, yes. Collaborative webinars like this, yes. Create enablers, yeah. A mix of both real and virtual could help children, yes, indeed. Uses of new technology. Limitless learning through internet, yes, that's so right. Making mentors, yes, indeed. Less investment required, even imparting tech education is an opportunity. Yes, indeed, Nitin. All right, I shall. So academic collaboration, as somebody mentioned, is one. Working remotely, it saves time, energy, effort, and of course, money also to move from one place to another. Blended learning, yes, somebody had mentioned that earlier too. That's great. That's great. So good going. What could be a few threats then in this case? What could be a threat in the current education sector, in the current scheme of things? Loss of jobs, yes, you're right. With if the teacher can record, one teacher can record for many of them, and many teachers are not required. So yes, loss of jobs. Any of the other threats which people feel like adding in the chat box? Digital disruption like TikTok, yes, you're right. Certainly something gets pulled away. And we can't ensure learning of students, yeah, especially smaller children, how to keep them tight against a laptop or a smartphone. Too much technology will lead to disconnect, yes. Excluding non-tech competent people, yes, indeed. Yes, I'm hearing from a few, and I would like to hear from others too over the course of the time. Education delivery, yes, Rajkumar. Lack of discipline, yes, Himanshu. You can do so much when you have an online school. Significance might reduce, yes. The large infrastructure which is there, the costs, etc. You're right. Yeah, few of them reduced student engagement, some of physical sports. Yes, indeed. Teachers can't keep a track of kids like in the class. Yes, that's right. And teachers need the support of parents for keeping the children on the desk, whereas they could do so in the classroom. Diminished student teacher engagement and associated issues, which, organizations like us, we face because we work in the rural segment is, children can be diverted to doing household work or manual work and can be taken off to the field to help in, so the time spent on that those few hours, fixed time spent on education will take a back seat. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for this peer learning. Yes, indeed, peer learning and survival of the fittest too, I would say. Yes, thank you so much. That's nice. I would like to hear from more people over the next few minutes. There are only few who are participating, so let's move on. Okay, so we've seen the SWOT analysis usage in uh, in an organization, in two organizations rather. We saw it in a beverage industry and we saw in the education sector. So what could be the possible usage of SWOT? Can you use it in your daily life? Can you use it in your personal life? Can you use it in your professional life? Going by my experience and what I do, I usually use a SWOT when I am given a new opportunity. Suppose a person is given an opportunity to handle X from the X portfolio to X plus Y portfolio. You should definitely use the SWOT analysis to see what is the plus Y portfolio going to give you additionally. You could use it at the end of the year when your performance appraisal happens. You could use it at end of every 3 months or 6 months on for your own personal use. What's good about you? What's not good about you? What should you work on? What should you not work on? So, as I mentioned at the start of the session, demystifying certain tools, simplifying certain tools. Typically, we think a SWOT analysis is used only in a boardroom or in a conference room with a lot of leaders, and it's not of use to individuals like us on a daily basis. But in my view, it can be used. It's a very simple tool. You just need to draw your strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats, and you can look at it, keep staring at it. You can use a SWOT now, and you can draw a SWOT 6 months later and do a comparison of the previous SWOT and the current SWOT. And trust me, you will definitely find changes unless you copy, of course. So moving on, I would like to give an example of a personal SWOT. In a personal SWOT, the inside view, which is favorable. What do you do better than others? That's number one. What do you have access to that others don't? What are your accomplishments? I think when Mukesh was introducing me and was talking to me about my list, I was like, wow. It's nice to know the list of accomplishments you do. I'm sure all of us have a long list which you can share. And of course, what do others see as a strength, as your strength in particular? Similarly, on weakness, what are you in comparison with others? Are you confident about your ability? What are you not comfortable on? And what do others see in you? In terms of opportunity, is there a need that there is no one filling? This is an outside view, okay? An opportunity is a favorable outside view of yourself. Is there a need that no one is filling? Is there a constant complaint about something? So if you look at your organization and if you are in the customer service, what are the top three complaints? Okay. If you are in the supply chain, what are the top three complaints of your vendors? What are the top three complaints of your customers? You can pick them up and try to look at how this opportunity can be. This is a complaint. This is a negative feedback, but how it could be converted into an opportunity. Is there some new technology in the offering? Is it something which you have not explored and can explore? Or, and last but not the least, is there an industry trend or an economic trend which you can think of or ride on? The unfavorable outside view, that is a threat. What obstacles do you face? Do you see some problems coming up your way? And is there some change happening across the ecosystem? And more importantly, can a weakness become a threat of yours? Here are another set of pointers. You could just go on rambling and or writing down whatever you feel like in terms of your strength. You could start from being ambitious, strategic, level-headed, focused, resourceful, blah, blah, blah. Can go on to become creative, efficient, honest, fair. It's your view, of course. You could write any number of strengths which you have, which is favorable, and of course, inside view. What are those unfavorable and inside view? There's a weakness. Are you complacent, impulsive? Is there some negativity around, sloppy, wasteful, fearful, vague, slow? It sometimes contradict also your strength and weakness, but it's okay. Just keep writing down. And of course, opportunity. Can a strength, weakness be converted into an opportunity? Can you look at some relevant certifications which you could obtain? Is there a group, a club, or some organizations you could join to, of course, develop yourself, develop your skills? Is there a development or a new idea that could be beneficial based on your skill? So opportunities can be plenty too. And of course, threats, life stage changes. So there could be a person whose dad is retired and decides to take dad and mom decides to go back to their hometown, and suddenly you're faced with how do you manage your children because the parents used to manage. Or there could be a lady who decides to go the family way and who's a traveling person and decides that how do I travel now once I decide to go the family way. So there are a lot of lifestyle changes which happens over a period of time. How do you look at weakness which will stop you from moving forward? And of course, what are those critical processes which you're working now, currently? Will I be working on the same process 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later? If not, then will this be sufficient for the future? So these are some pointers in terms of your personal SWOT. I have given an example of a fresher, a trainee who is joining our organization. It's written by me myself, so it's not written by a fresher or a trainee, but I picked it up after speaking to a couple of people. This person is joining the analytics section, and here are a couple of strengths. Ability to get on with people. So this person was in college so long, and he or she is a people's person as per the person, and is also said that I'm reliable and hardworking. So you can give me any amount of work and I can do it. I can take initiatives. I can start doing an engagement activity with HR and things like that. Of course, research and analytics skills, which I've studied in college, is my key strength. And it is also my key strength because I have an attention to detail. So that's a few strengths of this fresher trainee who has joined our organization. And when probing on the weakness, there are a couple of weaknesses too. Absolutely no work experience, especially in academics, in academic kind of organizations. Lack of spreadsheet and database skills. Timekeeping, because in college you are generally given a project which you can do in a couple of weeks, couple of days, couple of months. Confidence in dealing with people. How do I approach my superiors, my peer? How do I deal with people in other departments? So these are a couple of weakness the person has written down. Opportunities. So when you explore the opportunity, what are they? Of course, dealing with experienced people. I will get value out of these people, value out of interacting with these people. Working experience, hands-on working experience. I'll get to put theory to practice. I learned about research and analysis all this time. Did some projects. Now here is an opportunity I can put it to practice. Working in teams, collaboration. How do I collaborate with each other? Earning money, financial independence, of course, and which is a very important part, of course. Threat, fitting into the company culture. Will the people accept me? Will I fit into the company culture? Transport issues, because my house is quite far off, and the distance between home and work is kind of too long, too far off. So how will I manage? Working late hours, weekends, all the money I earned, I won't be able to spend on partying. So I'll or if I needed to study, in the late hours, what do I do? How do I spend my evenings and weekends because I am still working? Ability to garner support from the new team. So these are few of the threats. Let's draw our own SWOT. This is a quick one to have an interactive session again with the team, with the people out here. So if you could just open your chat box and punch in few strengths of yours quickly. We could just have a look at it. It could be anything. Nobody is going to ask for a right or wrong answer. You could just punch in anything that you feel like. Okay, can I have a few people punching in their answer? Confidence, creativity, yes. Empathy, wow. Coordination, collaborative, diligent, adaptability, team leader, coordination, camaraderie, public speaking, wow. Humane, well done. Flexible, team man, I like that. That's nice. Okay, I'll skip weakness and opportunity. And can we have some threats which we feel maybe more so with the current scenario of lockdown, COVID, etc. Can we have some threats punched it in? Adaptability, Brajesh, thank you. Can we have some threats in that? Not upskilling, okay. Pavitra, thank you. Can I have some more? Future career security, yes, indeed, Rajkumar, thank you. Can I have 2 or 3 more? Then we can move on. Okay, so I'll just move on to what it is. To kind of conclude what is a SWOT. It's a planning tool, of course, so it can be used more like a planner than strategy. Well, I'm muting you because there's some disturbance, and it has its own set of benefits. It's applied in any situation. It's a one tool with a view. In fact, when you start writing your own SWOT, it might run into pages. So it is a one tool with a view. It's simple too, and it has its own limitation. It's subjective. It has macro and micro views. You can swing. The range is huge. You can get into details and you can get into a macro view too. And of course, it lacks prioritization. So coming back to a small, discussion on the limitations. In terms of subjective, what we can do is add data to each of those lines. So as you saw in the beverage company, there was $1 million market share X%. You can just add data to it. So hence, from a subjective view, it will become an objective. From a micro macro view, yes, it's an interesting point. Usually when you conduct SWOT in an organization, the brainstorming session takes hours. It goes on to hours. So what you typically do is you have each department creating their own SWOT, and then you have a combined SWOT for the organization. Because if you sit with all the department heads to create a SWOT, it might just run into 2-3 days session. And of course, lack of prioritization. So how do you prioritize? Suppose you have a SWOT which has got a strength of say around 20 or 25 or 35 or 45. How do you prioritize? So that's the small tip I'm going to do with another tool, which we call as control and impact matrix. If you look at this matrix, it's a very simple matrix. It's got on one side, one axis, it has got control. On the other axis, it's got impact. And on each of the axes, there is a high point and a low point. So if you look at it, again, just like a SWOT, you get into a box, you box them in. If you kind of correlate the high control and high impact, they come on the top rightmost box, and the bottom left box comes with a low control and low impact. So this is a nice way of prioritizing your SWOT, your strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats in order to prioritize, or in order to pick up one or two or three or maximum 5 items which you can work on. In my view, always work on high control, high impact items, because you can see, one, it is in your control, you can do a lot about it. Secondly, it's got a high impact. So any action you take on this front will have a huge impact. Of course, there is in control and low impact box, and of course, there's a low control and high impact box. So if you look at the same example which I gave in terms of the new person joining the analytics team, I have kind of just tried to classify it. What are those high impact and high control items which this person has? Ability to get along with people, it is within his control, and it has got a high impact, because when you are in an organization, you have to deal with people. Reliable and hardworking, and especially analysis and of course research, you have to be really hardworking. Your research should be extremely reliable. So this is another aspect which I've put into high impact and high control, because this person himself feels that he's extremely reliable and hardworking. Research and analysis skills, he does not had to do anything about it, and of course the organization always require data and external data to prove what is good or not so good in the ecosystem. Attention to detail and timekeeping are other two things which are high in terms of impact, and of course high in terms of control. Because why isn't it good in control? Because yes, it's within your control, and as per discussions, you can of course change where this particular line should fit into. So coming to items which are high impact but low on experience, low on control, is no working experience in academics. There is no control over it. It's actually have a high impact, because when you speak to somebody, they will tell you, oh, you do not know, you are new to the organization, or you're yet to learn, but you can't do anything about it. You just have to work and gain experience. Confidence in dealing with people, working in teams, earning money, and etc. are few of the ones which transport issues etc is too, because it's high impact, because you need to stay back, especially in research analysis. Sometimes the time might go way beyond office hours, but is it within your control? Unless you can change your house to make it closer to your office, it's then it kind of changes the box. So these are a few examples. I have put one in the high control and low impact also, lack of spreadsheet and database skill, which is a weakness. So, you can just put W or S or O or T in the bracket so that you will know where you have. So, and of course, put few in the low impact and low control also. So if you have a SWOT which has got 35, 40 items or 50 items or 100 items, how do you prioritize which one to work on? Of course, the one which is in high impact, high control. And hence, this is the second tool, which is called a prioritization tool. Other users, when you have a workload or a KPI or a KRA by your boss given to you, which will only say 5 or 6 items, but over the period of time, you have 10 items, 15 items, 20 items added. You can, of course, find out which activity should you do based on control and impact. If you have 15 items to do on a set day, you decide which you can do. Just draw this box and put whichever is high in your control and high on impact. You could just focus on those. It is very easy. Draw your own SWOT. Use a prioritization tool, which is one of them is a control impact matrix. There are various other tools also. And of course, based on this, you can create your own action plan. So that's the long out of the short. And yes, you can find me at sandhya.tandon@bharatifoundation.org. And we would love to run the last poll for the day. Jatin, if you could run the poll. Jatin, can you run the poll, please?
Once again, it's got stuck. Okay, so we are in the third poll now. Yeah, it's on.
All right. The question number 1, feedback on the session. So setting expectations right for the session. The session was good and informative. Was first option. Good explanation. And the session could have been better is the third option. In a SWOT analysis, my understanding of SWOT analysis is good after the session. I plan to use this in my daily life and of course did not learn anything new is a third option. We can take another 30 seconds. All right, we can end this poll, Jatin. We can share the result. Okay, 95% said session was good and informative. Thank you. Session was good, but need more explanation. All right, 1%. Please reach out to me at sandhya.tandon@bharatifoundation.org. The second question, SWOT analysis. My understanding of SWOT is good after session, 52%. Thank you so much. I plan to use it in my daily life. Excellent, 48%, and did not learn anything new, 0. One more poll, one more question. Jatin, if you could run that. Control impact matrix. My understanding of the matrix is good post the session. My understanding is good and will use it in daily life and have not learned anything new is the third option. Okay, we can 10 more seconds. All right, you can publish the result, Jatin. So 39% says that the understanding is good and 56% says will use it in daily life. Thank you so much. And that was, that's the kind of culmination of the session. Over to you, Colonel.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been wonderful, really. Folks, I'm sure even the data is showing that at the end of it, we have learned a lot. SWOT analysis didn't be, she gave an example of that fresher over there, but we understand that SWOT analysis at all levels. It could be at a fresher's level, it could be mid-management, top management, or the CEO's level also. See, every day in our lives, we are doing this activity. When in my office, what is my strength? My strength, what kind of opportunity it is given to me? What's my weakness? What kind of threat is coming from that weakness? How can I do activities to improve on those weaknesses, that it doesn't remain a weakness and becomes a strength? Those are the kind of activities. And thereafter, how to go ahead and use it in the control impact analysis form. That, I think that's a great learning, really wonderful. One understands the SWOT analysis, but how often do we apply ourselves? I think after this session today, we're really going to be that much more enlightened. We're going to be applying much more. I think it's been great considering the time constraints in that 1 hour, less than 1 hour, you beautifully put everything across. I think it's great for us. It's a great learning. And of course, prior to that, the learning about what Bharati Foundation is doing. That was again great hearing you, ma'am, the kind of activities that Airtel is doing. One has really woken up to what your organization has been doing and doing it for so many years and continuing that activity in spite of the fact the market forces are in various directions. But then जो बीड़ा उठाया हुआ है, the steps that you've taken. You are not ventured back from that. You all have continued in that. You ensure that the education goes to the last levels of the society. I think it's a great initiative. God is going to be helping you. God is going to be organizing, giving your organization a lot of happiness based on this activity that you're doing for the society. And of course, friends, considering that the kind of qualifications as Six Sigma belt and the other qualification that one read about Mrs. Sandhya, I think we're really privileged that, ma'am, we could hear you today. We look forward to more such opportunities. We're really grateful to Colonel VP and Mukesh who pressed you, who coaxed you to come in over here. I think we're very fortunate. Maybe the only crib is that we got you here a little late. But then I suppose we can request you to more than make up by another few sessions hereafter. And I'm sure you have a diverse, with your diverse background, you have diverse varieties to keep this team out here entertained. GSCS, today I'm not very happy with the attendance that we had. Normally we crossed the three-digit mark. It just happened that there was another activity going on almost simultaneously. Some of us were involved in that activity also. Maybe next time we'll be certainly crossing a three-digit mark also. And in spite of that fact that all the people who are present out here, I'm sure they've learned a lot. You could see it from the chat box also, the response that you were getting to the queries that we had. And those questions also very well framed, really. Thank you so much. I have only that to say, ma'am. Anybody else? Jatin, you have anything? Mukesh, you have anything else? Please go ahead. And I also want to thank Mukesh for that wonderful start that he gave. Bhagavad Gita ke dohe se, I think that was a great start indeed. Thank you, ma'am. We're really privileged. Thank you once again. Look forward to again hearing you.
Thank you and Jai Hind, sir. Thank you. Thank you and Jai Hind, everybody.
Thanks, folks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. We are ending the session now. Thank you, Sandhya ji, once again.
Thank you.